All right, round 6. We actually have Keyistyq, which is one of Boulevard's favorites for the tournament, versus Arax, our fellow caster from the PCS tournament. So good to see Arax doing well. This is actually the first of 2 games that we're going to see from Arax. So as always, everybody, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you love competitive Legends of Runeterra, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. But let's go ahead and get into round 6.
Hold on, let me see if we can find something else. Oh, we got Arax and Keyistyq.
Ooh, really? Okay. Wait, are either of them streaming?
Arax should be.
Arax. Wait, is it Arax or Arax?
Yeah,
that's right. I went there.
I mean, so my government name, put this out there, is Aaron.
Oh God!
Which
what are you doing?
Makes me think that it's Arax.
Oh, because it. So okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Granted, like
they're already getting into it. Holy bejesus,
so
that was quick.
They got in there fast.
Yeah. Wow. All right, we're just barely catching the first hand. Sorry to interrupt you there, Boulevard. Now I don't even have time to change all this stuff. Jesus, guys, that was fast. What are you doing to us here? Hey, Arax is a caster. You should know. Give us a minute. Whew.
All right, so man, now I gotta pull up these deck lists. So Keyistyq is a Duels of Runeterra Southeast Asia winner, which is why we kind of wanted to highlight this. We've got a European versus a Southeast Asia player here in our NA tournament, pretty close to the top of the bracket as well.
Yeah, and Arax from Team ARC, I'm actually not sure what that stands for, as I haven't actually seen the full team name. So if anybody knows in chat, definitely shout it out real quick. But game 1 getting started here, and honestly going super fast. And I just saw a Yasuo hit the board. Boulevard, what are we going?
I'm still trying to pull up.
What are we doing?
Lists.
What is this deck?
I lose their name every time I open it because for whatever reason this document like makes you confirm that you're leaving the document in order to actually open the deck list.
Oh boy.
So we've got Yasuo Swain, which is sort of what we would expect out of a Yasuo deck that is going to invade the competitive space. And we really haven't seen a lot of TF Swain today. I think this is actually just the first Swain deck in general that we're looking at.
Yeah, and so this was something I was toying around with as well, Yasuo Swain, and I was convinced it was pretty good, which means it's probably not. So
I feel like that's how everybody who has toyed with this deck has felt about it. Is like, I thought it was pretty good, but I guess not, because we've never seen someone run it back. Like, people will play it and they'll have an okay amount of success with it. I think Goblin picked up a win on a tournament with it, but he was probably the only one. And then they just never run it again.
Can I just... Is this game on fast forward?
Is this... Like, do I have my stream set to 1.5 speed or something?
Like, that's exactly... Like, they're playing incredibly fast. Like, I don't think I have seen, not just today, but just in general, I don't think I have seen... 2 players.
This is the way card games are meant to be played. Americans are just really slow. They all have boomer mechanics, which generally doesn't come up in a card game, but oh boy, does it actually. Like, we're, what, a minute and a half into the game, we're already seeing Yone come out?
What is this? Jesus, who are these people? Why can't everybody play like this? Fresh Lobster, where you at? So, anyways, Fresh Lobster, it was a funny, one of the first games I tuned in for the EU side was Fresh Lobster, and it was going to time, so... so we do see a lot of stuns coming out, dealing some damage, getting rid of this Ashe. You know, the Yasuo going to deal that damage there. So, all right, just real quick, going through this Yasuo Swain deck, there is a Trifarian Assessor in the deck. And I do think that kind of curbs up some of the issues of, you know, the deck not really having any sort of reload. So I do like seeing the one Trifarian Assessor in there. But we are looking at a Legion General. This is actually in this deck. We thought Dusk Rider was bad because Legion General wasn't that great, and Legion General is better than Dusk Rider. What are your thoughts on this card?
I really kind of like it. As we had mentioned earlier when we saw the Brightsteel formation, there's not a lot of units with a high attack and health total, and they can be very difficult to deal with depending on the regional composition that you've actually brought. I think the reason we're not seeing 3 of it is because Hush exists, and you really don't want to, you know, kind of just play this 5-mana 4/4 with Fearsome.
Yeah, feels a little bad. Although what I will say is a 5-mana 4/4 with Fearsome is a lot better than it could be if it was hushed. So I really don't think it's that terrible. But definitely understand Hush, card that's very prevalent in the meta nowadays, and we see a plethora. Add that to the board there on our vocab. A plethora of spells. We have almost every good spell you can think of: Key Guardian, Ravenous Flock, Steel Tempest, Death's Hand, Concussive Palm, Deny, Spirit's Refuge, Will of Ionia, and Intimidating Roar. That is one hell of a toolbox of spells.
So here are some problems that Arax is about to start running into, and if you haven't seen a matchup like this before, because Yasuo is not particularly popular either on ladder or in the tournament space, let me lay out some problems here for you. Number one, Intimidating Roar, not the most valuable card in the matchup like this. Granted, Reckoning also probably not going to get a lot of value on the side of Keyistyq, so we kind of 50-50 that one. We say, you know what, both of us have a useless board wipe. Sure, that is what it is. But because leveled Yasuo strikes instead of dealing 5 damage, if you Frostbite a leveled Yasuo, he will actually deal 0 damage to stunned units, which is a problem in a matchup like this, and I think it's why we saw Arax holding back some of the stuns there. Even though he had the mana to play them and he is loaded up on Steel Tempests, doesn't actually elect to protect his Arachnoid Sentry, partially because you do want to strategically level the Yasuo. You do want to, you know, make sure that it's an opportune time. You want to deal 2 damage to high priority targets. You know, also hanging on to the Deny here in case there was something like this Culling Strike coming out onto his Leviathan. And also just, you know, it could get a little bit awkward.
Yeah, that whole line that just happened is amazing. And this is the dream that you want with this deck. You want to be able to get Leviathan, Swain, and Yasuo on the field, because when that happens, you want to talk about, you thought Leviathan, Swain was good? Oh, let me tell you, Leviathan, Swain, and Yasuo is even better. And very curious to see if these bad boys will stick around here. We already did see a Deny come out, so that won't be able to save all of them if something does come down from Keyistyq. But I do think it was very smart of Arax there to save the Deny for that Culling Strike, because Leviathan in this matchup is almost always going to be the prime Frostbite Culling Strike target.
This is the sort of situation where Reckoning gets a little bit of value just because it does kill the Yasuo, and it looks like that might actually be what we're going for, opening with this Troll Chant, putting that into Reckoning range, but actually it is just Culling Strike. Thinking about the Will of Ionia to protect it, I don't think it's super unreasonable. We don't have any other units in hand that we're looking to develop, and with so many stuns, we don't necessarily need the Will of Ionia, so I think it's not outside the realm of possibility that we just throw that out to try and protect this Leviathan here, as that is the second Culling Strike.
It seems like such an odd play, because that's almost one of the worst ways to ever use Will of Ionia, is to like recall a unit and protect yourself, especially with it being 5 mana now. But the interesting thing with Leviathan is that you are actually going to generate additional value by playing the Leviathan again, getting another Swain, and Swain isn't exactly a nothing card.
Oh my gosh, all 3 Culling Strike for Keyistyq.
Hey, listen, and it is what it is. I don't think Arax is mad about that. Now you just got rid of all the Culling Strikes.
I mean, there's really not a lot of Culling Strike targets in your deck. The fact that all 3 of them were thrown at the same Leviathan is a little strange to me, but or rather, not strange, but a little bit wild that it kind of lined up that way.
Oh, just one turn too late on that Deny too. Oh man, that feels bad. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, go for the full attack here, which basically forces out blocks, but crucially, there's a lot of stuns in Arax's hand. I imagine we're going to see Frostbites come out, which is going to feel really bad. Yeah, it seems about right. You still
have the Steel Tempests for if something like a Harsh Winds does come out, at least.
Yeah. I mean, this definitely isn't too bad of a turn for Arax. It just, like you said, it feels so bad. This would be an incredible value turn for Arax here, getting this Yasuo leveled up and whatnot, but having it Frostbitten is just going to kind of blow things out a little bit. I imagine you Harsh Winds Yasuo and Yone here. I don't ever see you Harsh Windsing the Swain. I think you just let the 4 damage get sunk into it with the Average. Okay, just the Brittle Steel instead, so no Harsh Winds being used yet.
So does Yasuo deal 5 damage on the stun that levels him up?
No.
Or are all of these going to take 2?
No. So if he's at 4 out of 5, the 5th stun will do 2 damage, and then he deals the full. Yeah.
There's so many so many of these champions don't work the same way, and we'll get to find out here for sure, but I do take your word for it since you played a lot more Yasuo than I have.
Yeah. Does anybody play Yasuo? Is that... Yeah.
Yeah, no, hold on. See, this is the 5th. That was the 5th one.
It did 2 damage to the Iceveil Archer.
No, he was at 2 out of 5. So this was the 5th one.
What?
Is this Trifarian Assessor
that's
hit?
the 6th stun.
No, it isn't. We've only seen a Yone come out so far.
That had to have
So
been
that
the
was
6
3,
stun.
4, 5.
There's no way Yasuo is leveled on the field as the picture of the Yasuo without already having 5 stuns having been, right?
Well, yeah, the stun onto the last assessor was the last stun. I unless you can name the 5th stun, because I'm pretty sure it was just the 3 Steel Tempest and the Yone.
I sure as hell can't name them. Like I have no idea. I can't name all the stuns, but I am like 99% positive that if you're 4 out of 5, the 5th stun that levels him will deal 2 damage. He'll get leveled, and if there's another spell in the stack, that one would then deal the full.
Yeah, that
5.
one would deal 5, but
So
I mean, from where I'm sitting, it looks like I was right. I'm the genius, and that stun did deal the 5 damage.
So, well, we'll see if it ends up happening again. If Arax does lose this, we would see another Yasuo game, which I actually wouldn't even mind. But we're still very much neck and neck here. I will say Keyistyq.
Never mind, chat has your back. They said there was a recall onto the Ashe. I do remember an Ashe dying to 2 stuns. Yeah, that's probably it then.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was. I'm not sure.
All right, you get away with this.
Hey, thanks, chat. That's what I like to see. So, which is all right. That never happens. This is like a moment. Can we like photograph this in chat? Like, chat actually had one of our backs for once. This is great. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Spirit's Refuge in Arax's hand, and I'm contemplating how much life you can gain off of either a Swain hit or a Yasuo turn.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is where we get a little bit sketchy. Yasuo, not actually the biggest unit on the field. That will be a Yone as the sort of frostbite target here. Ooh, Yeti's big. This is a little bit scary for Arax.
Yeah, we'll see what Arax decides to do here. I imagine Keyistyq just passes and swings it back over to him. Yeah, and that's a lot of mana just burned on the side of Arax there. Not sure if that's great for him.
Not a whole lot to do with it. I mean, literally the only playable card was Intimidating Roar or Spirit's Refuge, but this does look like it is just going to be, yeah, the Ashe lethal.
There's the surprise Ashe OTK out of nowhere. Gonna go ahead and deal a ton of damage with all of these units on board that cannot block. And prioritizing removing that Leviathan, I think, was pretty smart on the side of Keyistyq. You know, just really, I mean, you mentioned, like, yeah, wow, he used all 3 Calling Strikes on the Leviathan. Oh, is he alive?
He's going to survive the turn. Yeah, he has the Ravenous Flock off the top on top of that Steel Tempest. Unfortunately, not going to deal any damage to the Ashe, but, you know, at least there is 1 Harsh Winds out of your opponent. You can try and, as long as you're not dead, as we had just mentioned, it's a lot of lifesteal potential for Arax here.
Yeah, if he's able to get this, actually...
Wouldn't need another stun. Like, if he top decks something like a Yone, we're in business.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to say the Intimidating Roar is essentially useless right now, which, like you mentioned earlier, just feels bad in this matchup. Reckoning also useless. Yone would be great.
Reckoning, okay. I thought Reckoning was going to come out here, but we do have the Deny, so it wouldn't have made too much of a difference.
Yeah, Reckoning useless until the Frostbite comes out, and that's the thing with Intimidating Roar, and that's why I think Reckoning is better. Reckoning has some use cases even in bad matchups. Intimidating Roar, you can't necessarily reduce the attack very easily of things.
All right, so we're not going to open with the Spirit's Refuge to get the 10 lifesteal from the Yone, you know, sort of Refuge, stun, then attack with it, because Yasuo does strike the units, so the lifesteal from the Spirit's Refuge will work on those hits as well. That much I am sure of.
We know that happens. That works. And
still, though, in a situation like this, there's a lot of bad top decks in Arax's deck. He's not playing House Spider, so at least that's not something he's going to run into, but he hasn't seen any Fate Blade Twirlers.
Yeah.
Key Guardian, pretty bad. Just kind of going through the spell lineup here. There's a lot of spells in this deck.
Yeah, Fate Blade Twirler is such a good card, too, with it having quick attack. It's almost like your source of removal, especially in the early game, because anything it blocks is generally just going to die because it's got such high attack with all those sun effects. But Captain Farron, I think, is going to put things away here. That's not a good card.
Well, actually, it is.
Well, yeah, no, it's
a very good card.
It's incredibly good, yeah. I mean, we have a deny for one of the decimates that comes down, but nothing for the second one.
Looking at our opponent's board, I don't know that it necessarily matters, especially since we're off the bat, we're losing a blocker to the Ashe. If there's something like another copy of Harsh Winds or any Brittle Steels or Flash Freezes, it's going to take even more blockers off the board. And I don't think there's anything that Arax is going to be able to do to survive this one. Picks up the Leviathan just a little bit too late. But I mean, this is kind of how we expect something like this to go, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. I think that this was kind of a tough matchup for the Yasuo deck to begin with. But, again, I don't want to say I'm happy to see Arax lose. But I am happy I get to see another shot at the Yasuo deck. Because, yeah, it's cool to see Yasuo. I mean, it was cool to see Lee Sin earlier today. We have since, unfortunately, I had an inkling of a feeling earlier today that we might only see Lee Sin early on in the day. We have yet to see it again since those first 3 rounds. But we are seeing Yasuo. So hopefully we'll see some more Lee Sin, but at least another Yasuo game for now.
How many Lee Sin decks do you think we're going to have in top 32?
One.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be Noxus or Targon?
I think it'll be Keyistyq. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be Keyistyq. I did like that Targonian version that we saw, but I think it's too... It's too, like, all in on just it needs a very specific set of cards on one turn to win the game. Keyistyq actually has some play-around stuff, and I don't know, it's proven itself before, too. So I think Keyistyq might see one deck get into the top cut.
Yeah, I if it was top 16, I'd be inclined to agree with you. Because it's top 32, I think we'll see at least 2. I think we could see as many as 4 or 5. I really don't think we go beyond that.
Oof, I don't know. I mean, even though there's more of a top cut, this is a big tournament. There's a lot of good players.
I haven't really looked at the sort of who's well seated in Swiss right now to see how many of them are running Lee Sin decks. I would imagine, as you had mentioned, it's probably not a whole lot.
Joke's on you. I already looked them all up, and I know.
No. Okay, so this is a Jagged Butcher turn 1 in a Shadow Isle or Bilgewater deck, and that means it is not deep. It is sort of keg control.
Yep.
It feels weird to call it keg control because it's really not a control deck.
Yeah, this one's playing 3 Stalking Shadows. This is...
3 Stalking Shadows, 3 Glimpse Beyond, and 3 Doom Beast, the only Shadow Isle cards. So it's basically NAB. It is TF Gangplank. Morph, I know in chat you were saying you hate Gang... Oh, no, never mind. He wanted to see the Gangplank replaced with the Twisted Fate. So, yeah, Twisted Fate Gangplank is what we're going for here. And I never really thought Gangplank was a great kind of sole win con for decks like these. No Rekindlers coming out either, so we're not even like all-inning on that strategy necessarily.
Yeah, this is just a very odd deck. It just kind of seems like it's meant to be an aggro deck that just plays to a turn 8 Riptide for kind of like the win, but
I feel like anytime you play a NAB deck, there's about like 10 slots that you can kind of just do with what you want, and we see players experiment with those full 10 to 12 slots a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure it's basically the same style of deck, you know. You've got your 5-mana champion. You've got a lot of units that cost 4 or less. You're pretty much taking off from turn 5 to turn 8 because the Riptide comes out. Not a lot of spells. This is basically just NAB with a lot of extra draw power. So I understand seeing the Gangplank or seeing the Twisted Fate over the Thresh, because I think that you have a really good shot at actually leveling the TF pretty quickly over the course of 2 or 3 turns with a deck like this.
Yeah, I mean, the Stalking Shadows alone, I mean, that's a very easy way to get a lot of draws off with TF. So, I mean, maybe that's what Keyistyq is looking to do most of the time here, is just get this leveled TF, and because he has a lot of lower cost cards, be able to chain together a lot of those TF card activations. So, yep, and here is the first TF coming down here. We'll see if that's exactly what he decides to do. That had to have been top decked for him to have played the Stalking Shadows last turn. I don't...
Probably.
Yeah, I think he came from the left.
I mean, I was praising Elites a little bit earlier for sort of, you know, Battlesmith finding his new place in the meta because we're not seeing as many Mystic shots. Twisted Fate is another 2-health backline unit that's going to sort of benefit from that, and I think that's why we're seeing more players go for these TF decks as we're seeing Piltover and Zon fall off.
Yeah, actually, thank you, Zerth in chat. I wasn't even... when I think of Stalking Shadows, I just think...
You think it's 2
Yeah,
draws?
I just think draw 2, but technically you're selecting 1 card, and then, like, you're getting a card added to your hand. So that's actually kind of unfortunate. So I take that all back, all right?
I mean, it's still an extra draw card that you don't typically see in a deck like this. I got to check to see if he's playing Pilfered Goods. He is not. But I do think that the Glimpse Beyond in conjunction with the Stalking Shadows still gives him more draw power than your average NAP deck. But I think if you were just playing something like Pilfered Goods and Salvage, you'd actually have a better shot.
Yeah.
At leveling the TF
Yeah,
anyway.
I was just going to say, like, I'm very surprised to not see Pilfer Good and Salvage. I don't know. This deck is very in between like different deck types, so we'll see what it's trying to do here. And Keyistyq, I believe Keyistyq and Arax are they both X and 1?
Sounds correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've both done well, you know, Arax with this Yasuo deck, Keyistyq with whatever we want to call this deck.
We'll just call it
Can
NAB.
control NAB, whatever, with Gangplank, so we'll see who gets the better of who here in game 2.
So at any point we can go ahead and remove this this Twisted Fate with a stun alongside this Yasuo, and now we have the... So that's the thing about the Yasuo Swain deck is, well, Yasuo Swain is sort of the, oh man, this is a really good combo, this is going to stun up my opponent's board. Minotaur Reckoner and Swain, or Minotaur Reckoner and Yasuo is sort of a lesser version of that. So you've got these two different combinations of champions or a champion and a unit that you can get out there and start to completely take over the game. And now we're even going to see this onto the Yasuo. And if Arax can get out the Reckoner Yasuo alongside a Swain Leviathan, you've got to think that has to be game over, right? That's even too big a board for the Riptide Rex to really make a dent in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I said. I mean, that engine, like, you think Swain Leviathan's good? Well, I see your Swain Leviathan. I raise you a Swain Leviathan Yasuo, and once that hits the board, this is probably just game over for Arax being able to pick up a quick win here. So let's see if that's the case. I imagine we see it come down next, and we are going to get some of these blocks, prevent as much damage as possible with this stun as well. Also killing the Zap Spray Fin. Gotta tell you, 4 mana for stun, deal 2 damage, and summon a 3/2. Yeah, feels pretty good.
Yeah, and that's going to level the Yasuo, and Arax is just really trying to deny his opponent pushing any damage on. He says, if you want to plunder this turn, you've got a warning shot for it. And I know that you missed that Yordle Grifter. You did miss the Yordle Grifter, right? I never saw a warning shot come out.
Yeah, I don't see a warning shot, so... I saw one come out.
Oh, there's a warning shot. That one was real, though,
yeah.
From the main deck. There is the Riptide Rex, and it looks like it will take out the...
Oh, no way. Does that miss killing the Swain and the Yasuo? Wow.
Yeah, it's going to sort of overload itself onto the right side of the board.
Sucks.
And that does mean at least Swain Leviathan will be developed on the following turn.
That is really bad for Keyistyq, and this is probably... I mean, it was already kind of in Arax's favor, but not being able to kill either Yasuo or Swain now and still having Spirit's Refuge available, yeah, this is not looking too good for Keyistyq. I imagine we just slam this Leviathan here.
It looks like we might just go for...
we can also kill the Riptide.
Kill onto the Riptide Rex. That would push through a fair amount of damage. I do think I like the Leviathan just a little bit more.
That's a tough one. It really depends on what Keyistyq has in hand. I mean, the thing is, he could have another warning shot.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks
it's
like
a
that's
Riptide.
what it is going to be.
But now, at least your Leviathan can hopefully suck up some shots. And, okay, now it's killing both of those. So now, I think you prioritize saving the Swain here.
I do see 3 shots onto the Yasuo and 2... Yeah, I don't think you can actually save anything with the Spirit's Refuge.
Wow. So, yeah, that feels really bad. So, actually, in this particular case, the Arachnoid Sentry would have been the better play.
I don't know if it would. I mean, you'd still lose your entire board, right?
Yeah, but at least your opponent would have one less. Like, now you're not going to get use out of that
your opponent would have
Yasuo.
one less.
So, it just feels good missing an opportunity to really use Yasuo's effect. I mean, the more that you can use the effect, the more value he generates, obviously. So, and Keyistyq isn't even really at a low enough health for this Leviathan to, really pressure at all. We do have the Spirit's Refuge, so the Leviathan could attack, get a block, and then we could play the Spirit's Refuge to also heal up and kill a Riptide, which I think he kind of needs to do at this point. But Arax also has a lot of cards left in hand. I mean, there's a lot of options he has. He's very much still in this game.
And he's got another Swain and another Yasuo. I think if the Make It Rain is pretty much worst case scenario here, just to pop the barrier, you will still survive the Riptide Rex open attack, and that's really what matters. So now I wouldn't even be surprised if we have to... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we block with this Leviathan next turn. We develop something like Swain Yasuo this turn, get another Leviathan down. I mean, Arax is still in a pretty good spot unless Keyistyq has, like, the 3rd Riptide Rex.
I mean, that would feel so bad. That's not going to be cool for Arax. So we'll see if Keyistyq does have that here in a second. Does also main deck a 3rd warning shot. There are 3 warning shots in this deck, so very possible. And I got to say, one of the things I like about this deck, Stalking Shadows on Riptide also feels incredible. So, if you do have that many procs, like Doom Beast, so Doom Beast also procs nab effects and plunder effects, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
So, this deck is kind of just all in on getting those plunder effects off and being able to use Riptide literally possibly 6 times. So,
I'm trying to think of how often the Doom Beast proccing it actually comes up, because what card am I playing first into the turn that I can then follow up by Doom Beast and then follow up with a plunder effect?
I mean, maybe like a Dreadway Deckhand or a Hired Gun or Twisted Fate. That's probably really it.
Like if I do it with a Dreadway, or if I do it with a Jagged Butcher, then like I feel like I've already missed out on the plunder for the turn.
Yeah.
But this is what we were talking about. I think Arax still has a pretty good shot at getting back into this one. Gets the Yasuo Swain down.
Gangplank is a thing, though. This is going to be a tough card for Arax to deal with here. Does have Ravenous Flock. Also has Arachnoid Sentry. The problem with Gangplank being leveled is that Yasuo does not kill the Gangplank in one strike, which feels really, really bad here. Another Leviathan in hand, though. We'll see if we're able to get this down.
And I'm kind of looking through the deck, trying to see what could have been stolen from Arax to make a big difference here. Ooh, do we really want to palm this?
Oh, this feels...
It doesn't kill anything.
Yeah, I mean, this puts... it feels so bad, though, if your opponent... You have a warning shot in hand again. This feels terrible if you end up with a Riptide again. Like, because then your chances of Yasuo and Swain dying are terrible. So... I don't know. I mean, you gotta hope that there's not instant Riptide Rex, and you can. Oh my
god! It was
God.
Instant Riptide Rex. Yeah, Arax doesn't look happy about that one.
That is so crap. Like, how many Riptides? It's like, when does this end?
And that one's ephemeral.
Yeah.
So I mean, the point that you had brought up earlier, stalking shadows into the Riptide feels really good.
Like, okay, this unit can die. I don't care. I'm still dealing a ton of damage to the board. 14. Like, I'll pay 8 mana to deal 14 damage to the board. Sure.
But as many times as his board gets broken, Arax is still not out of this one. Does have a Leviathan for the next turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the advantages of this Swain Yasuo deck, right? Like, all the units are really beefy. So when it comes to going against something like Riptide, it's going to be really difficult for Keyistyq to actually remove everything on the side of Arax. I mean, you got 3 Leviathan, 3 Swain, Minotaur Reckoner's beefy, Legion General's beefy, obviously Yone, which... Interestingly enough, Yone is only a 1-of in this deck. I would have liked to see more Yone in this deck.
I don't think you can really afford to go too high on Yone just because you're already playing Minotaur Reckoner as a 3-of, Leviathan as a 3-of, and then, you know, Swain and Yasuo hitting 5. Your deck isn't really doing a whole lot before turn 4, or before turn 5, rather. Your early drops are kind of weak. I'm actually a little surprised not to see House Spider in here, but I do think you need to go for a more late-game version of this deck to compete with that control meta that we're pretty sure we're seeing in these tournaments. We haven't seen a whole lot of control decks thus far from what we've been casting, but I'm sure that War Mother's Control is a very popular deck. Actually, Biolog in chat has linked his breakdown again. I just want to take a peek at that myself so that I can see exactly how much War Mothers we are dealing with.
Yeah, I wanted to try to get one of those slides up in between games here if I could. We actually catch a second, but we do see the Doom Beast. This is going to be really close. Oh, wait, yeah, he's got the warning shot in hand. That's just game.
Yeah, Arax does not look happy with the way this one turned out. The Doom Beast coming in big, as well as that Stalking Shadows onto the Riptide Rex.
Yeah, this is a interesting deck, an interesting build by Keyistyq here. Super cool to see.
Okay, so War Mother's Control is the 4th most popular deck in this tournament. What I did not expect is that TF Swain is still number 1.
All right, only one more round left for day 1. Excited to be able to put that up for you guys a little bit later. So make sure you turn on the bell again so you get notified when that does go live. But as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope it just works for you, and peace out.